This poem is entitled Silver Bells and Golden Spurs. It was written anonymously. It is believed to have been written sometime around the mid 1880s. Pursuant to the oral tradition of cowboy poetry, it was the first cowboy poem I committed to memory. Well, the Golden Gulch was a mining camp when the West was yet untamed, and there two men met, and they made a bet, but the winnings were never claimed. The boys had ridden into town one payday afternoon to line the bar at the Lucky Star, which was Dandy Rand's saloon. Now the dandy was an ornery cuss, and if by chance you made him sore, his only law was the lightning draw the heavy guns he wore. On his watch chain hung a dozen bells of the finest silver spun, each tiny bell for a man that fell when the dandy pulled his gun. They seemed to jingle merrily to a tune that brought him luck, but they rang the knell for each man that fell when the dandy was run amuck. Now the boys had finished a round of drinks when the barroom door swung wide, and a stranger walked in with a reckless grin and a funny cap-like stride. On his dusty boots were golden spurs, his face was lean and brown, and above each hip the well-matched grip of a six-gun holstered down. He spoke in a voice that was deathly quiet, saying, "I've come to waste some shells on a man they say whose draw is quick, with a chain of silver bells. A dozen bells for a dozen men buried somewhere on the plain. It's my intent to beat that gent. I've come for the dandy's chain." The dandy returned the stranger's gaze. His coat was buttoned tight. Above each knee a gun swung free, but the bells were out of sight. "So, it's the silver bells on which your heart is set. That's a fancy pair of spurs you wear. Would you care to make a bet? The silver bells for the golden spurs, but I'll warn you from the start, you'll lose that bet, and all you'll get be a bullet neath the heart." The stranger smiled his reckless grin, said, "If the dandy tries, they'll find him dead with a chunk of lead placed neat between the eyes." Then the stranger unbuckled the golden spurs and placed them on the bar. "I'm calling the hand of Dandy Rand. Come out wherever you are." Slowly the dandy's hand went down and unbuttoned his lapel, and there at rest, on checkered vest, the chain of silver bells. The stranger watched with narrowed eyes. The time had passed for talk. He hadn't drawed, but his hands were clawed, like the feet of a diving hawk. Then suddenly the dandy's hand went down for his right-hand gun. Nobody saw the stranger draw, but the two shots rang out as one. Then the dandy stumbled to his knees with a look of wild surprise, and a chunk of lead, just like the stranger said, placed neat between the eyes. The stranger stood at the end of the bar, apparently unhurt, except for the spot of red. It slowly spread neath the left pocket of his shirt. Well, the Golden Gulch is a ghost town now. Its mining days are done. Nothing but coyote tracks and tumble-down shacks, bleached white by the desert sun. And the Lucky Star sits deserted too, all littered with sand and straw, where the laughter rang and the dandy's gang once drank to his lightning draw. But the silver bells and the golden spurs still hang in their place of fame, above the bar at the Lucky Star, awaiting a victor's claim. Silver bells and golden spurs. Thank you kindly.